Okay, in this video, I'm going to show you how to make six figures managing CRMs as a technical virtual assistant. Okay, and these steps are very beginner friendly. These are actually the steps that I've took early on in my career so I can get started getting clients as a tech VA. Okay, and again, this is very beginner friendly. When I started, I didn't have any knowledge, I don't have connections. I didn't even know this world existed. I found this by accident, taught myself how to do these things that I'm sharing with you. And then from there, now I've just learned a lot along the way. Okay. So I'm Roxanne. I'm the founder of Marketing Tech Mama. And I actually created this channel because I want to help 100 moms be able to work from home as a technical VA in the digital marketing field. Okay. And like I said, the steps that I'm going to share are very doable because I've done them, but it's not a magic pill. If you're looking at this and you're like, oh, I just kind of, I can just do something and then that's it. No, you're going to have to follow these steps and you're going to have to be consistent with it. But if you follow these steps, it will work for you. Okay. So, why is there a need, right? Especially a need for like technical VAs. So, with the pandemic, something that all businesses learn is that they have to have an online presence, right? If you have a brick and mortar or you have an online business, I know some coaches have an online business, but they get their clients offline by speaking, right? All of that was shut down with the pandemic. So now everybody realizes I have to have an online presence. I just have to, it's mandatory, right? So if something like that ever happens again, I could still get clients, I could still get people into the door. So that's where the need for you comes in as a technical VA. So why would somebody want to hire people for that? Well, they want to hire them because one, they don't have the time to do it. You know, when you're like the CEO and you're getting higher up in your business or your business been around for a while, you know, you have to focus on the visionary things. You don't really want to focus on the implementation part. So that's why there people are willing to hire looking for technical VAs because they don't have the time to do it. And a lot of times, what I've seen often is that they don't even care to want to do it. They're scared of tech or they don't want to mess with it. They have no desire to deal with it, right? And that's where you come in to come in and go ahead and help these business owners manage their CRMs. Okay, so as we get started, before I even show the step-by-step guide, I'm going to go ahead and just explain to you first, like what is a CRM, because that's going to be very important as well. So a CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. Okay. And customer relationship management essentially is a database of contacts that business owners have, right? And this is a very important digital asset and tool that they need, a CRM. You know, if you ever went online and you went to you went online and you went ahead and had an opt-in, right? Something like that. And then you got an email. Well, that's where CRMs kick in. Okay. And this is very important because this is like a digital asset that people actually own. We don't own social media. Nobody owns that. Right, besides the people who own the social media channels. So us going ahead and managing this, right? And that's where CRMs are super important and they mean a lot. So, and also to also help with the explanation of a CRM, I'm going to share my screen right now and I'm just going to show you, I think a visual representation is a lot easier to understand, or it is for me anyway, than it is just to kind of talk about it entirely. So if we're looking here, we see on this part, this is user, right? Because this is from the user experience. This is how you're going to see it. Okay. So like I said, you went on a website and I'm just going to put LP because that means like landing page. That's the page that you landed on. Okay. And we have other videos. We'll get a little deeper into that. And like I said, in my example, you go there and there's like a form. And if you put your name and email, inside of there, right, you're exchanging something. You're saying, hey, I'll give my name and my email in exchange for something else, whether it's a free ebook, a free video, a free call, right? When you're exchanging that contact information, that's where this part comes in. Okay. Then once you fill out your name and your email, I'm just going to put Gmail here because that's just a popular one, but that's where you get the email, right? That's like, hey, you've got this, et cetera, et cetera. So that's how it looks from the user's point of view. As you go to a page, you fill it out. Once you fill it out, you get an email, you're good to go as far as what you know. So that's why I'm sharing here the backend piece, because in the backend piece, this is the technical part. This is how this works. So for the backend, this is a database, which is normally a software. It's a tool, and it's a software that collects this information, right? It has here, this is where it has, like, I'm just going to put user information. So it's going to store your information in the database, right? Your name and your email. It's probably going to attach some other things too, which we'll get to in a second. And then it sends out the email for you as well. And that's how you know that your contacts are in the database. Okay. And this is important not only just for marketing and sales, but it's also important in customer service as well, right? Just because sometimes people will come in and they say, hey, I don't have access to this and this. Well, your customer service team will more than likely have to go into the CRM and be able to look at the user's information. What do they have access to, right? There's a lot of important reasons why the database, it just has a lot of information, and businesses use that to make decisions, okay, for their list regarding that. Okay, so that's the definition per se of a CRM, right? Customer relationship management is just a database. It holds all this stuff, right? But because it holds all of this information, that's where you come in. They're going to need help, somebody to set all of this stuff up, make sure things are working. Sometimes, actually, a lot of times in tech, you build something, it works well, and it'll break. And that's the reality. So, just making sure you're familiar with these pieces and what I'm about to show you, that's actually going to help you be ahead of the curve as far as other VAs are concerned. Okay, so now I am going to go to the next page, and now we're finally going to get into it. Let's get into the step-by-step guide as to how to make six figures managing CRMs as a tech VA. So we're going to look at my spreadsheet. So these are the 3 steps that I have written. So the first one that I'm putting over here is going to be pick one tool. Okay, that's what I need you to do. Just pick one tool for now. And I'm sure you're like, well, what tool should I use? Okay, so we're going to pick one tool that's actually popular and that business owners and entrepreneurs will hire for. So there's a distinction here in this, okay, because there's a lot of other CRMs, okay? There's Constant Contact, right? Like that's technically a good one. Um, there's also MailChimp. MailChimp is another popular one. Those may be a hit or miss. You may have some people that want to hire for that, but they are designed for people to use them by themselves. Also, Aweber as well. Aweber is another one. Okay, and there's a lot more out there. I didn't even get to all of them. There's always a new tool popping up every day, but that's why I'm going to guide you to the tools to kind of learn from that are popular that people will actually hire for, because that's going to just give you, like I said, make you ahead of the curve. So the top one that I'm going to start with is called Infusionsoft slash Keep. Okay, so I am definitely going to have a bias with Infusionsoft and Keep, because that's how I got started into this technical world. That's how I grew my business. I'm a certified partner. I just been using this for a while because people need help with this tool. This tool can be kind of complex, but again, that's why they need somebody that is familiar with these things, that they're willing to pay and just let them handle it. So Infusionsoft Keep is going to be my first one. Like I said, I'm biased to that for that particular reason, just because that's how I got started in the business. Another good one that's very popular that I even use often is Active Campaign. So Active Campaign is actually another good one too. Active Campaign and Infusionsoft are very similar. They're not exactly the same. And that's the thing that I'm going to tell you with all these tools, just pick one, and as long as you have a good understanding of one, it's going to be easier to take those basic understanding into really any other type of tool. But you'll just start to realize like, oh, well, Infusionsoft does this differently than Active Campaign does it, right? So even though they can both do majority of the things the same things, how they do it is going to be a little different. So that's why I'm like, pick one tool and kind of get really good at it, because I'll tell you a little more why in the as we get on, because that's gonna, I'm kind of jumping ahead to the other steps. So the third one that's actually really good too is Entreport. Entreport is another good one too. These are the big three that I know people are hiring for specifically, and they need specific help for it just because that's what they're looking for, right? Those are the tools that they have, and that's the help that they need. Okay, so now the next step that we're going to do after that is get a free trial. Let me just kind of clean this up a bit, right? Have a free trial. That's what step number 2 is. Ideally, what I'm really just trying to say in the free trial is play with it. Get a free trial. Keep will let you have 14 days. Other CRMs, I'm not exactly sure, but get familiar with it, because once you're familiar with the tool, right, when you're going to go and market yourself and you're going to say, hey, I know this well, you can actually say, oh, I actually know it, right? I definitely don't want you coming in here and marketing things that, saying, oh, I can do this, and you've never looked at it, because it's going to pop up. Definitely. They're going to ask you questions. Oh, can you do this? Can you do that? And you're not going to be able to know. Right. So make sure you give yourself a free trial. Just play around with it. Again, that's how I learned. I just got access to the tool and I just kept playing around with it. And I still do that to this day. When new tools come out, I get a free account. I play around just so I can be familiar with it in case I ever get a client that comes to me and says, hey, I'm looking on how to do this, right? I'm looking how to do this with this tool. What do you recommend? Okay, so get a free trial of that, because that's just going to help you get familiar with it. So now when you get a free trial, again, I'm giving you these steps because I didn't have these steps given to me, but because of my mission, I want to help other moms be able to work from home. I'm hoping that these steps will be really, really helpful and better for you. Okay, so for the free trial, one of the first things that you're going to need to know how to do and definitely understand is send emails. You want to know how to send emails in that CRM. That's going to be such a critical, important part. If you go back here, right, and you remember this part, and here it's talking about, I forgot I can do this. And here, that's how you get an email. So in order for you to get an email in here, you have to know how to send them. If you don't know how to send them or how to set it up to get sent, right? Like these are the basic things that you really need to know and focus on during your free trial. The next thing I would say too then would be forms. Knowing how to create forms, where they are located. Just be familiar with forms, because like I said in my previous example right here, right, this form is what's going to go to your database, right, in order for this email to even come out in the first place. Okay, so you have to know, how are the forms? The forms are the way to capture the information. Then the next thing that you really are going to have to know are the tags. Do you know how to find where the tags are? Do you know how to find of how the tags are attached to? Can you pull up a report with people based on certain tags? Do you know how they get applied, right? Just being familiar how to create a new one. Knowing and understanding tags is going to be very critical too, because a lot of times we use tags to segment your list based off of their activity. Okay, so that is definitely an important piece to know and know very well. The next piece that to know well are being familiar with setting up sequences. Okay, so what do I mean by sequences? So like I said in here, when somebody opt in, we have a sequence, an automation set up that's going to automatically send this email. Right? So that's where the sequence comes in, where it's like, oh, once this form comes in, it's going to send out this email. And then we have a bunch of other emails that are going to go out throughout a certain duration in this period of time. So that's an email sequence. That's what you have to know how to set up, make sure like the forms and tags are connected to it, right? And sending emails. So the sequences will hold the emails, if that makes sense, right? So if I opt in and I get this first email, there should be a sequence that's going to send me multiple emails. And it does this automatically, right? That's the beauty of automation is we don't have to manually do this. We don't have to wait for people and manually send this out. It is going to do it for us. Okay. The next thing that we know we're going to have to talk about, which is still similar to what I said above, but some CRMs have them different, is the automation piece, right? So the automation is going to be, hey, when this form is filled, we're going to apply a tag. We're going to put people in certain sequences, and that's what it's going to do. You can also do something that says, hey, when we go to where is this? Okay, so that's when the automation can also be, hey, once they're done with this sequence, when they first opt in, we can remove a tag and we can put them in another sequence, or we can add another task, right? There's other things that we can do because of that. And that's where the automations come in. So again, depending on your tool, make sure you're very familiar with how the automation piece works, because that's going to be the bread and butter, right? That's why they're coming to you. They want things automated. They don't want to have to sit there and have a lot of this stuff done manually. Okay. The final thing that I would say to get familiar with and to know really well are the reports. Make sure you know how to pull up reports of, for instance, how many emails, like how many people opened a particular email, how many people clicked on that email, right? How many people filled out the form? Is that form, working, right? Because you're going to have to provide the data and analytics too. So it's one thing to just set up stuff and be like, hey, I have this set up and this is good. And it's another to say, hey, we have it set up, but I noticed that your open rates are pretty low. Your click-through rates are kind of low, right? That just sets you apart. That makes you more, because people are not looking when it comes to a technical VA. They need people to do things from, but they need people to guide them as well. Okay. And that's where you come in. So there's that. So just make sure you understand reports, how many tags, how many people are going through the sequences and the automations, right? Like just be familiar with all of their reporting functionality, because you'll never know. You'll be surprised one day the client will come and say, hey, I need to pull up a report for this and this. So if you're familiar with it, it's going to be a lot easier for you to be able to say, hey, we can do this, or no, we're not going to be able to do this. It's not going to work. That's totally okay too, right? You are their trusted resource. So that's what I'm trying to equip you to be their trusted resource, so they can rely on you and depend on you to be like, and they trust what you say, because that's really important too. Okay, so the third step that we're going to do now, because the first one I'm just going to update here, right? We're going to pick a tool. Once we pick a tool, then we're going to have a free trial. And when we have a free trial, we're going to go over the 6 things that I mentioned and make sure you know really well. And then the third thing is it's the job boards, right? So if you have the skills and you're familiar with the tool, right? You picked a tool, you're familiar with it now. Now it's time to go and market yourself and to be like, hey, I understand this. I know this very well. So the job board that I have used and where I started was Upwork. I'm actually still on Upwork. I still get requests on there. That's not my primary source of getting clients anymore. When I started, it definitely was. That's actually where I got all my clients from until I built and got to a certain point. But Upwork was really helpful for me. Now, there are other job boards like Fiverr, but Fiverr, I feel like is a little like looking for a technical VA. Like, yes, there's people there, but most people are not going to go to Fiverr to look for a technical VA. They're probably going to look for like a video editor, somebody to do, I look at Fiverr as one-off projects, and that's not always the case, but I'm just sharing what I've seen, being the person that's trying to be the looking for a job and also hiring for people, right? Like I'm on both sides of the coins because I have a team as well. I have tech teams, I have people that help me under my business. But what I'm trying to say is I don't go and look for them on Fiverr. I go on Upwork first, right? And Upwork is just a popular place to go. I've also heard, oh, but I've tried, I've been on Upwork and I'm not getting anything. My recommendation for that is make your profile as specific as possible. Let me actually change this. Like, make it specific. Okay. You want to be as specific as possible because when you're specific, if you're just going to say, oh, I'm a general VA, I can do anything and everything for you, then you're competing with other people international that are charging less because they can do it too. But if you say, like, for instance, on my Upwork profile, I have Infusionsoft Extraordinaire as my title, right? Because I love the tool. I'm really good at it. I can use it. I've known it. I've been using it almost 10 years now. So, right? Like for me, I Infusionsoft Extraordinaire, but then in my body, I put, hey, this is what I can do. So if people are looking for someone for Infusionsoft, I'm going to pop up, right? I'll also pop up for other keywords too, but that makes it more specific because when I first started on Upwork, I just did a general profile. I didn't get anything for years. I didn't get anything. And then once I got access to Infusionsoft, I updated my profile to be Infusionsoft stuff, and I was getting gigs all the time, invitations all the time, getting all kinds of opportunities because I was very specific in my profile. So I recommend for you to do the same too. Okay, so that's it for this video. If you like this content, please like and subscribe this channel so you can go ahead and get more content that's like this. Also, I have a blog where I write more detailed about being a digital marketing tech VA and just the journeys of it and the tools and softwares that you have to understand about this. Okay, so until next time, talk to you then. See you later.